You want to talk about Yamamoto? I also have.
Sure.
I think this is interesting. I kind of told you during the break, but as all these deals come out and all the money comes out, so many of these projections by everybody, for the most part, were wrong. Except for I find it kind of funny that some of them were right, and it's especially a player that signed with the Cardinals. So maybe we can have a little game here.
Okay.
This is Fangraphs, all right? This is Fangraphs from November 9th. Now, they have one dude, Ben Clemens. He actually appears on Bernie's show. They also have the median crowdsource and the average crowdsource for the contract. So I just think this is interesting. Let's go with the median crowdsource. That's probably the most fair. So Shohei Ohtani, what do you think they thought the contract was going to be?
Well, I'll just
Years and numbers?
Go years and total.
So I think they would have said 12, and I think they would have said 650.
I'll say 10 for 550, which is, I'm pretty sure, almost the same AAV, so we're in the exact same ballpark.
So it's the median crowdsource was 10 for 450.
Okay.
Ben Clemens said 13 years for 527. So he was a little closer.
Everybody undershot it.
Everybody undershot on almost all of these except for one. Okay, hold on. I got to find the second guy. Okay, Yamamoto. What do you think, Yamamoto?
I think they were thinking 6 and 200.
Cole?
I'll say 7-10.
7,175.
Okay.
Think about how off they were on that.
So it was 10 for 325?
It ended up being 12 for 325.
Oh, wow.
Plus the posting fee. For the Dodgers, it's basically 12 years, 375.
And the difference, while Ohtani's much more money, I think the ability to make that back is easier to rationalize because it's Ohtani, the best player in the game, can pitch, even though he won't do it this year and hit. You're talking about Yamamoto, who has never done it at the big league level. So I could understand that you think it's going to be less, but I would have thought, it's surprised how much he got. But the other thing is, who needs pitching? Everybody. Do the big spending teams need pitching? Yes, they do. That's going to jack it up for everybody.
So think about now. If you were the Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, and you were in a way, on all these dudes, the Yamamotos, maybe you're kicking the tires on Nola before he re-signed. Ohtani is a unicorn. But now, if you're Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell, you're sitting there, and you just got another big raise probably.
Oh, yeah, you want to be the last domino to fall because somebody's going to be desperate and make a move that maybe they shouldn't make.
That's why I think the Royals were smart. And yes, it's Waka. But if I was like the Yankees or Red Sox, who have money to burn, or the Mets, and you need pitching, I would have gotten Waka. You know he's going to be 2 years. I predicted 2 years myself, not a crazy price tag as insurance, right? Because now the music's going to stop, and you're going to be like, oh, no pitchers. I would have jumped on Waka if I were one of the big money teams. Good for the Royals doing that.
And some of those teams like the Royals, you can say, okay, are they trying to compete? We'll see. But also, let's say they even have a decent season, but they get to the trade deadline. Okay, we're trending towards below 500. Well, now you have all these 1-year deals, and you can flip these guys to contenders, and you can get a bunch of prospects to win the next year.
Yeah, you have options too, especially since you're in that division, which last year was, along with the NL Central, was one of the worst divisions in baseball. So that trade deadline is going to be really interesting for them.
And people are talking about the Royals spending money, and they did. I think that's what you were saying. They're probably not going to be good anyway.
No, they're trying to be decent. They're not trying to be good. And if they wanted to try to be good, they can spend more money.
Okay, Aaron Nola, what do you think? We already know what he got. He got 7,172, right? What was the projection?
Boy, that in retrospect, that seems like a bargain.
Yeah, no kidding. You said that, and I'm like, wow, the fan guys probably overshot this one.
No, I'm going to say they undershot it because I'm going to say 6. What did he end up with?
He got 7,172.
I'm going to say they said 6,160.
I was going to say 6,150.
Yep, 6,150. Blake
25.
Snell, the projection.
This has to be higher because I think he's the same age.
They're both 31.
Yep.
So is Montgomery. They're all like either turning 31 or about to be 31 here in the next
I'm going to say 5,140.
Have they adjusted this one?
No, this article is from November.
Okay, so this has no idea.
Right,
This
that's the point.
This article has no idea that Blake Snell's one of the last ones left.
Correct.
Right.
That's the point, is that these were pre-season, pre-hot stove season.
Okay, then I will go just slightly above what I said for Nola, and I will go 6'170".
I'm going to say 5'140".
So he's 5'125". Okay.
Jeez.
Jordan Montgomery.
Ooh, he's a little bit older, so I'll only go. I'm only going to go 4 years on this one.
I'm going to go 4 years, 4'120".
5'105" is the crowdsource median. Ben Clemens says 5'140". He's going to get at least 6, don't you think? If Nola gets 7, they're all the same age. They're all about 31.
For sure.
Okay, let me find. I won't do every player.
Get an extra year of 25.
What did Lance Lynn? Let's do Lance Lynn and Gibson.
I don't even know. I did see Flaherty and Gibson, but here's the one I found funny. Is because of all these pitchers where essentially every single one of them was an overshoot. What do you think Sonny Gray's was? Prediction.
So, based on that, I'm going to say 2 years. No, they undershot. I'm going to say they overshot. I'm going to say for Sonny, they said 4'160".
I'll go there. 4'145".
No, he fell basically. He's the one guy I saw that kind of fell where people thought he was going to fall. So Clemens said 3 years, 78. The average crowdsource was, I guess, 3.2 years, 70. The median was 3 years, 63. So any way you slice it, it was pretty close to the actual deal, which I find funny because all these other ones
I see your
that
point.
are way higher, Sonny Gray is the one guy I've seen so far who kind of got what everybody thought he was going to get, for the most part.
And do you think that makes a greater overall point about the St. Louis Cardinals being a predictable team in free agency?
Well, they are predictable, and that's why we joked about it yesterday. And by the way, I told Kat off air. I can't even remember what I was talking about on air because I was with Matt Adams telling him that yesterday I watched this 26-minute interview with Tyler Glasnow on Foul Territory. And Glasnow's awesome, dude. I'd never really heard from him. Super cool guy. Then the next video was Ken Rosenthal on the same show. The first question was about Lars Nootbaar bringing up, hey, do the Cardinals have a shot at Yamamoto? And Rosenthal said, I would be very shocked or surprised, but I'll never basically discount what a player says. Players have different sources, blah, 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 blah. But what Rosenthal said is, let's be honest, what we all thought, which is the Cardinals, they have the market, but when the market goes crazy, the Cardinals never react and go crazy with the market. Whatever, if they were interested in Yamamoto, let's say at 7 years and 210, I have no idea if that was even possible. Okay, but when it got to 12 years, 325 plus the posting fee, you just knew the Cardinals were not going to react that way.
So, and while it is a point to mock for Cole, I'm not saying that to start trouble. I'm just telling when I talk to people from other organizations, people in the front office, I run into them. Some of them, you run into them, or national guys. They said, and last year, I'm not talking about last year because, to be honest, this was before last year. All of them said that's what has kept the Cardinals so competitive consistently is that they don't react because the market does this or that competitor, that rival does something, that they use their money efficiently. Now, I will agree they're risk adverse, and if things don't pan out this year, then they got to rethink that. I thought by some of the things that Mo had said before that maybe they would roll the dice a little bit more because you got to take your chances at some point. But they did the moves that they think are less risky because they're adverse to taking on a lot of risk.
But in doing so, is this the time to do that right after you go 71 and 91?
Yeah. That's why I said I wish they would have gotten Yamamoto. Like, at some point, you got to roll the dice. Now, it served them well not to, but especially in this kind of pitching market where you have so many teams that need pitching and you have really a handful of legitimate options to really bolster that rotation, you're going to have to roll the dice at some point.
Yeah, that's another thing. Then a point that I made earlier.
I don't think it's like a huge criticism either.
I just think this would have been a great year to do that because I was really impressed with the list of names that I saw in free agency. And to be fair to the conversation, to be fair to the Cardinals, I don't have a great frame of reference of like how this one compares to other free agencies, but just looking at the list, I was pretty impressed. So I thought this would have been the year, especially on the heels of last year, where Cardinals Nation kind of felt that it was an underwhelming free agency, only getting one player and not addressing the pitching then. I thought this would have been a great time to do it. But in saying that, you also have 2 one-year options who will be coming off the books next year, assuming you don't re-sign Gibson and Lynn. So you do have the chance to kind of do this over again. But also in saying that, it kind of is like, well, they're just kind of kicking the can down the road when are you going to strike? So it kind of feels like wasted time, especially the older Paul Goldschmidt gets. It's like, man, yeah, there's 2 cornerstone infielders who were like real stars in the MLB, and you kind of tinkered around with this identity crisis where you have a bunch of young guys and then 2 old guys, and there's like not a middle ground where everybody's peaking at the same time, and so you're kind of a ticking time bomb. Like when are you going to go off? When are Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt going to age out?
I've said that. I mean, if you go back to our shows,
yeah.
I've been saying that. Like
I
now's
agree
the
with you.
time. I don't want to touch the corners, but there's a shelf life to those guys. That's why I wish they had been more aggressive. But I think the downside, there's guys this year that you could get. Some of them older than you really want if you're going to lay out that kind of money. But to me, the key is there's so many people that you knew would be in the bidding process that are going to outspend you.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially this year.
Yeah, and I've been thinking more and more about what you said yesterday about if Tyler Glasnow is admitting on a podcast that the Cardinals were in on him and he was worth $25 million.
Well, hold on.
And we don't know, to be fair, we don't know how much salary the Cardinals would have been trading away, too. So it would not have been a full $25 million, but that's pretty significant. So kind of leads me to believe, and I've been thinking more about it, like they're still in on something. If they're in on Tyler Glasnow, that's a lot of money.
Okay, but hold on. Again, just for context. So A.J. Brzezinski asked Glasnow who else was interested. I think the Cardinals, obviously he already signed with the Dodgers, so they were interested. I believe the Cardinals were the next name. He said Cardinals, Cubs, Reds. He said some other teams, but then he said, he kind of said this is based on rumors, and I don't know how serious these teams were. But then the context you need to hear, though, is that Tyler Glasnow basically was able to create a free agency for himself, even though he's not a free agent, by saying, I am not going to sign an extension unless I get this window and it's a team I want to go to. He essentially said the team he wanted to go to the whole time was the Los Angeles Dodgers. So Tyler Glasnow could have not signed an extension with another team and thus nullified a potential trade because nobody wants to give up big prospects for 1 year of a guy. And this is where Glasnow is the opposite of what Corbin Burns on the same show has said. Corbin Burns is a Scott Boras guy. Burns said, I'm not going to, God love him, I love Tyler Glasnow, but I am not going to do what Tyler Glasnow did. I am going to free agency. I'm 1 year away. So that also hurts the Brewers a bit because whoever gets Corbin Burns is going to be a strict 1 year rental. Maybe it even makes sense for the Brewers to keep him and then deal him at the deadline because Corbin Burns has said, I'm a Boras guy. I'm 1 year from the market. I'm not doing that. I'm hitting free agency next year. You're getting a rental.
And he's also not very interested in doing any favors for the Brewers organization because those two kind of had a little bit of an emotional fallout after the arbitration hearing where he felt that they didn't do enough to try to keep him.
But you're a contender that thinks you have enough to go all the way and you're one pitcher away. You'll give to get that guy, even if he is a rental.
Oh,
that's when his value spikes.
I think he's making $14-15 million, something like that. So that's a pretty dang good deal.
Yeah, for this year.
Well, I got to look at the arbitration. So final year of arbitration here. Let me see what he makes.
There was basically like a $740,000 difference.
Oh yeah,
and apparently the Brewers were arguing significantly about that, and the Brewers ended up winning that, I think, but the relationship is significantly tarnished. And by the way, I'm a guy.
He made $10 million last year, so I think the projection was he was going to make an arbitration, whatever it is, 14, 15, something like that.
And so, look, I'm a guy, and in fairness to Tyler Glasnow, who I'm not a fan of because he was terrible with the Pirates and then gets traded away and is a Cy Young candidate as soon as he leaves. So I have a lot of disdain for him. But I criticize athletes a lot who request trades. When you're in a contract and you're trying to not honor that contract, I typically don't like that. But, especially with like football players holding out and stuff, or like Ben Simmons requesting trades and saying, I have mental health issues. I can't play for the 76ers, but if they trade me away, my mental health issues will fix itself probably within a month. So just give me that much time. I don't like when athletes do that. The one example where I actually think is appropriate to do so is if you have an expiring contract and you tell the organization, I'm not going to re-sign with you. So if you want anything for me, you might as well just trade me. I think that is actually beneficial for both sides.
That's why Glasnow actually helped the Rays.
Yes.
So
instead of just leaving,
and he
for
did.
nothing.
By the way, he did sign in theory what you could call. I know 5 years, 136 doesn't feel team friendly, but let's be real. If he stays healthy, he's getting more of that. He's getting more than that on the open market next year.
Yeah.
So professional sports is a business. I mean, so I don't care if you navigate the way it is in your best interest. I'm fine with that because that's what teams do. But there are instances like with Ben Simmons or James Harden where you engineer, like Harden has engineered all these trades, right?
Left and right.
He forced the team's hand, and he hates every setting that he goes to. Look in the mirror.
Yeah.
The problem is you.
Yeah.
But he still had the juice to get it done time after time after time, where every team felt like this is the place where he's going to find himself.
Yeah, we got the solution.
And they're never. And the problem is him.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this. It'll be a question that I think Jim will like and Cole will hate, and that's why I'm asking it. Let's just say
But I love to hate.
in a different scenario. What if Dylan Carlson was traded somehow, and just for a year you could get Harrison Bader back on a 1-year prove-it deal, and but then you have a center fielder. You have a center fielder who can play center, who likes to play center. Jordan Walker's in right. Lars Nootbaar is in left. Let's say Carlson gets moved.
We get Harrison Bader back in the show.
No, I'm just saying I just like guys that can play. I like shortstops and center fielders that can play those positions well defensively. And I really think the rest of your defensive lineup falls into place so much better when you have guys that you just set it and forget it at center and short.
So I think Harrison Bader is the best defensive center fielder in baseball. I'm not alone in that. I'm talking about even folks in New York think that. Yeah, he has trouble staying on the field, which we've seen with Tyler, who's not here anymore. So you're kind of getting rid of one problem and bringing in another. But if he's healthy and he's in center, I'm good with that. And I wonder, too, the value left for Dylan Carlson, who still may end up as a really good player. But sometimes, as you bring up, I brought it up, a change of scenery changes your trajectory. It just changes things up. But, yeah, if you had a healthy Harrison Bader in center, I'd be fine with that. But that I'm not calling for that, Cole.
Okay.
I just think it's interesting.
As long as we can admit that there are probably a bunch of other roughly equal center fielders out there, and we're not naming them just because we don't know who they are.
Michael A. Taylor.
Okay.
Michael A. Taylor.
You think – I'm telling you, Harrison Bader.
He's really good defensively.
He is.
Michael A. Taylor.
And again, this is watching Harrison Bader. I've seen Taylor, not as much, but I've had other people in New York that say he's the best they've seen in baseball.
I don't doubt his defensive prowess at all. I don't.
Now, what about if the Cardinals said we're signing? You would rail against this. They're signing Matt Adams to a minor league deal. You'd be furious.
No, I would not.
Even though he's our boy.
No, I would not.
Because now you like him.
I do like him.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club.
Human beings.
I have liked him.
Welcome to the club.
I have some disdain for him because he destroyed the Pirates in that series. I wish his stats were terrible, but they weren't. He had like a 316 average or something like that, like a 900 OPS. So he destroyed the Pirates in that series. That I do not care for.
Should I break one more time?
No.
Does it matter?
Break one more so I could have a donut.
No. But
no more breaks?
We don't have to.
Okay, I don't care either way.
But I have listened to Matt Adams' first appearance on this show. I think I wasn't even in St. Louis at the time, but I listened to it and he was great on the air. And I appreciate when an athlete is good with the media. As far dude, he could be a co-host. Like he tells stories. He's not like trying to give a PC answer. You ask him a straightforward question, he gives you a straightforward answer. So I think he sounds great on the radio, and so I do appreciate it for that.
Maybe do you have an understanding too of if I establish a relationship with certain players that maybe I do have a fondness for them. Does that make me a cheap, choking rights holder?
Yes, it does.
No, as long as you admit that part of the reason that you want all these former players is because you like them personally and because it helps your job.
Yeah, I said that about Lance Lynn. There's other options out there. He's one of them, but I know what I'm going to get is pure entertainment in the club. Look, if it was between Gibson and Lance Lynn, to me, same bucket. I would have chose Lance Lynn because I know he's fun.
How about this?
Gibson could be. I don't know him.
I know I know at the end there, they probably need a separation. But if it was just baseball, would you rather have had the exact same deals they got? Lynn, Gibson, similar deals. Flaherty, 1 year, 14. Pretty similar. Couple million more. Would you rather have had Flaherty back for a 1 year deal? Or if you had to pick two, how about this? How about two? Two of those guys.
I cannot believe I'm saying
Flaherty?
this. I cannot believe I'm saying this. I'm actually picking Jack Flaherty
Just for upside.
because I saw him play a full season last year, which is something that I was shocked by, and the whole if Jack is Jack conversation. Well, I'm like, if Jack is Jack, then he's going to miss like half the season, but he didn't. He was healthy last year, which shocked me.
And he was okay.
Yes, and then he went to Baltimore and was horrible, right?
Yes,
He was.
I mean, real bad.
Like to the bullpen bad.
They took him out of the rotation.
Okay.
Real bad.
I don't like that. That actually may have.
You don't like that.
No, shocking. I don't like when starters get
That's
benched
bad.
and go to the bullpen.
I think
So maybe that actually would have changed my mind.
I like Jack a lot, and I believe at some point he'll rebound. I don't know if it's going to be this year. He's got some stuff to work out, and he has had a lot of health. I think probably is best for a change of scenery for him.
I agree. But last year, Flaherty was what, 4.99 ERA?
That would win my Lance Lynn bet, by the way.
No, it wouldn't.
I mean, it would lose. I'm sorry, lose.
4.50.
Yeah.
But with the Cardinals, remember, Cardinals, he was 4.43. And remember the one game that he just wore it?
Yeah.
He had like the 10 spot.
Jack Flaherty
Yes.
against the Angels.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And he had to wear, and he knew he had to wear.
and that game blew his ERA up like a full run.
Did he leave the game with like elbow discomfort or something?
Sounds possible. I have a terrible memory.
Yeah,
Okay. We know what game you're talking about. It was early in the season.
Yeah, Jack Flaherty last year, his whip was almost 1.6. And that's the big difference in Flaherty when he was good. And I know he had to be healthy, but the walks. I mean, he was not a guy who walked a ton when he was good, 18, 19, 20.
And even when he was pitching okay, he wasn't the same guy. Like, his stuff, when he's healthy, when he's right, is elite stuff. And we didn't really see that last year.
Okay, Cole.
We can take a break if you want one.
Now?
We can do a quick segment at the end.
Well, I was going to do Cole's vacation.
Then okay.
Vacation 2.0, second half
See,
vacation.
I told you this is what I wanted to not do. I had one request, and that request was don't split it up. But I appreciate Matt Adams for showing up early too. Another reason that I like him, he showed up. But I guess last we left off was the
Honky tonk, man.
honky tonks. The bed arrangements were preferred. Not the most proud of that, but it was okay.
Seems like you're kind of proud.
Did anybody else meet a girl besides you?
No.
Putin didn't?
So I guess I have that. No, he did not. But he's been talking to a couple girls.
All right. Hey.
He's been working.
But, Charlie, am I wrong to say he is proud of his nighttime arrangement?
He should be.
I'm just giving what you. I know that you guys.
I'm not
want.
saying he should or shouldn't. I'm saying he is, even though he said he's not proud of it.
No, I'm telling you.
You're the honest one on the show, Charlie. Weigh in on this.
I am.
It was one of those where it was like really fun in the moment,
Yeah.
and then like the further we get away from the moment, the more I'm like,
Dude, this is what it's like to be young. This
I
is
know.
youth. You have fun, you have experiences, you have moments, even if they're fleeting moments. That's what life is about.